Anyone ever remember Toons, the brilliant animated show that renowned around McLaren? In Series 2, they're celebrating the 50th anniversary, and Alan Prost played himself in the show. Behind the scenes, he admitted he struggled with the lines because he didn't get angry very often. So for F1's legend and Alpine's former non-executive chairman to say this about former boss, Lauren Rossi's an incapable leader who thinks he can overcome his incompetence by his arrogance and lack of humanity towards his troop, Viola keeps. Prost's much publicised exit from Alpine at the end of 21 probably had something to do with the resentment, but in hindsight it probably gave a valid insight into the hot mess that's been Alpine for the last few years. This is amazing given at the end of last season there were signs that the team were moving in the right direction, and while some partial successes smooth things over, as 2022 Alpine had fourth in the constructors pretty comfortably, beating McLaren in a long drawn out fight and closing the gap on the big three, Merc, Red Bull and Ferrari. The cracks have always been there under the surface. Alpine has been the biggest victim to the 2023 midfield shuffle, with Aston Martin making huge gains the off-season and McLaren leapfrogging the French marquee quickly by her upgrades. In fear of being left behind, I suspect the current big boss, Renault CEO Luca Di Maio, has acted now to try and save some credibility. And with a shocking news over the Belgian Grand Prix weekend, that team principal Otmar Zafnauer and sporting director, 34-year-old veteran of the team, Alan Permain, leaving by mutual consent. So it adds to a brutal list of departures in the last 18 months. Pat Fry, the former chief technical officer that was poached by Williams, Lauren Rossi, the CEO who was moved to special projects just about 2 years into his role, and yeah, I think we all know what that means. Then obviously you had, of course, Fernando Alonso and Oscar Piastri leaving in very controversial circumstances last year. If the reports are true that Ferrari boss Mattia Binotto could take over, and even if they aren't, it means Alpine have had 4 different team principals. Remember Marcin Budkowski? Since the start of 2021, not even clubs like Tottenham are a bigger mess as that. While Renault came back into F1 in 2016, and CEO Carlos Ghosn promised they'd be contenders, and now infamous 5-year plan. It's a huge failure. It was just a handful of problems to their name by 2020 and peaking at 4th in the standings. When Rossi took over, he essentially doubled down, renaming it a 100 race plan, but then lashed out at people blowing in the pecking order, and for the moment they took a step back. All this has done it make it seem like the Renault Group is kicking it down the can with no real end game. They've had huge rebrands to try and sell more road cars, replaced by almost every key position since coming back, and even sold quarter of the team to investors including Ryan Reynolds, but still more or less the same midfield team. If you look at the other teams, Prost was hoping to emulate, keep it simple, build a car around elite driver Michael Schumacher, surround it with the likes of John Todd, Ross Brawn. We've seen it with Hamilton, Wolff, Vettel, etc, etc. Even if you forgive the underachievement of the Fernando era by describing him as an erratic seat hopper in his 40s, you had a multiple race racer in a Daniel Ricciardo, and yet you were still in the same position. To me, Alpine needs to stop looking over the horizon as to what's next and simplify its too many cooks management style and build a stronger style, stable car talent. Otmar Zafnauer is always going to be in for a hard time. He had 3 different people to answer to. The way things are going, we're either going to end up making the same old jokes when they collapse next, or maybe a team could be sold. Remember, Michael Andretti still very interested in owning an F1 team. But anyway guys, that's it for here. Thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, for daily F1 news and subscribe to the channel, it's going to be greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.